Okay, state your name.
My name is Marlene Arnold.
What is your relation to Nick Arnold?
My son.
What was Nick like as a child?
What was Nick like as a child? Oh my goodness. He was a very loving child. He liked to get into trouble, but he had a lot of fun. He was, as I said, a very loving child.
Nick Arnold was born on March 9, 1962 to Marlene Arnold and Nick. He was born in Berea, Ohio. He has an older sister who is 14 months older than him.
I'm Roger, and I've been taking care of Michaela in my massage therapy office since she was 16 years old. About 3 years into her service, in our conversation, I realized that I had gone to high school with her dad, Nick. We went to King High School in 1978, and during lunch we would always go across Sly to a big green pasture where we would have our lunch, smoke our cigarettes, play frisbee, smoke pot, and just have a good old time. Anyways, one afternoon Nick was having a confrontation with another guy and literally beat the crap out of him while hanging a cigarette out of his mouth, and he had a hand, in one of his hands, a can of Mountain Dew. Didn't spill an ash, didn't drop a drop. It was classic. So that's my story about Nick.
Could you tell us about his motorcycle accident?
He had had an automobile accident about a year before that. He was driving his sister's car and ran into a palm tree. And at that time he had a head injury here, and that healed up fine. But then about a year after that, he started having pains in his neck. We were all home one evening. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and I remember he was standing in front of the refrigerator and he was saying, "Boy, my neck really hurts." And I encouraged him to take a couple of Tylenol and go to bed. And no, he didn't want to do that. He wanted to lay down on the couch. And so as the evening progressed, he said that he couldn't move his body. And we didn't really believe him that much. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, get up and go to bed. No, he didn't want to. So finally we called an ambulance. And they took him to the hospital. And he had had an aneurysm in his neck. And they weren't sure, they couldn't find a surgeon. They wanted to send him to the hospital in Miami, and they wouldn't accept him. They said that if he would be dead before he got there. And then they tried Shands Hospital in Gainesville, which is a teaching hospital. And again, they said he would not survive the trip. So there was a surgeon on staff that, he was a very nasty man. He said, "I'm going to do this only because I'm the only one that can do it. But he'll never come out off of the operating table. He'll be a paraplegic if he does." And so he goes off and leaves us for like 4 hours and comes back. And I mean, I just thought the worst, of course. But anyway, he survived the surgery, and it was a pretty serious surgery. They had to remove a lot of the partial vertebrae to get into the aneurysm and drain the blood, the bleeding inside of the spinal column.
Please state your name
Marissa Nolan.
and what your relationship with Nick Connell.
Nick and I were married for 15 years. His smile was electric. We had a beautiful daughter during our time together. I think he was a very spiritual person. He was always reading Carlos Castanedis and meditating. And he was practicing Buddhism also, so he was very spiritual.
What was he like at the end of his life?
You know, surprisingly, how far to the end? At the very end, he was sick, and it's very hard for me to talk about. He was at St. Joe Hospital, and I went every day to see him, and he was very thankful. Asked me every day if I was coming back the next day, and he was very thankful that it was hard.
Nick Connell was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. He died of this cancer at age 47 on August 30th, 2009.
Very spiritual. After he had passed away, we went up to the Smoky Mountains to spread his ashes. And the area was very difficult to get to. You had to go through all these winding gravel roads with drop-offs like way down. And of course, it was pouring rain that day. I mean, it was non-stop pouring rain. We get to the area where Nick and I had camped many times, and it was very familiar to him, and he was very happy there. And we stopped there to spread his ashes. Everybody got out of their vehicles, and when we went, as soon as we got out of the vehicles, the rain stopped. We went to the area where we were going to spread his ashes, and we did that, headed back to our vehicles. There were blue butterflies everywhere, and this was in September. I'm not quite sure why the butterflies were there, but they were just everywhere. We got back in our vehicles, started to leave, and it started pouring again. It poured the rest of the day. All the way down the mountain, it poured the whole rest of the day. My daughter had his cat, Weezer, that she was taking care of since he passed. And it was a quiet cat. He was, always snuggling with her, but in her room at night and quiet as a mouse. Around Christmas time that year, Michaela said that it was getting really, really cold in her room, and the cat was in the bathroom playing, and he was just playing and playing and playing, and it was very strange. It was ice cold, and the cat was playing in the middle of the night. So anyway, he was a really sweet person, and we're all going to miss him.